In the grim darkness of the far future, where there is only war, some secrets are guarded not with bolters and blades, but with oblivion itself. You've heard the tales of Armageddon, the indomitable hive world, forged in the fires of endless conflict, forever etched in Imperial legend, for its defiance against the Ork hordes in the Second and Third Wars. But long before the Green Tide, a far darker cataclysm scarred this world. A secret war led by the Daemon Primarch Angron and his blood-crazed world eaters unleashed chaos itself upon Armageddon. So devastating was this conflict that the Imperium purged it from history, condemning billions to silence its horrors. This is the untold story of the First War for Armageddon. To understand this cataclysm, we must go back to the aftermath of the Horus Heresy. Angron, the once mighty Primarch of the 12th Legion, the World Eaters, had fallen to chaos, becoming a demon prince sworn to Khorne, the blood god. But even in victory, his legion fractured. The pivotal moment came at the Battle of Scalathrax, where infighting tore the World Eaters apart. Kharn, the betrayer, in a fit of rage, shattered any semblance of unity, scattering the legion into warring bands of berserkers. For millennia, Angron brooded on his demon world within the Eye of Terror. His goal? To reunite his shattered sons and unleash them upon the Imperium in a crusade that echoed the heresy's glory. Driven by Khorne's favor, Angron sought not just slaughter, but a grand unification, a force capable of piercing deep into Imperial space. And in 444 M41, fate, or perhaps the blood god himself, provided the opportunity. Enter the space hulk Devourer of Stars. This colossal abomination, a twisted amalgamation of derelict ships fused by warp sorcery, burst from the Immaterium near Angron's realm. Seizing the moment, Angron rallied his forces aboard it. Thousands of World Eaters Chaos Space Marines, legions of demonic entities, and the elite crew of Praetoria, 12 of Khorne's mightiest bloodthirsters. But that wasn't all. Millions of chaos cultists, mutant hordes, and traitor guardsmen swelled their ranks, forming a tide of madness. The Hulk's erratic warp jumps carried this army straight to the Armageddon system in the Segmentum Solar, a vital hive world teeming with billions of souls and forged in the fires of industry. Armageddon wasn't chosen strategically by Angron. Chaotic currents likely guided it there. But for the Imperium, it was a nightmare unfolding. Armageddon was already in turmoil. Warp storms had isolated the planet, causing food shortages and sparking armed rebellions in several hive cities. Chaos cultists, whispering promises of power, exploited the unrest. The planetary defense forces and the famed Armageddon Steel Legion were containing the uprisings, mostly in Armageddon Secundus, with lingering fights in Armageddon Prime. When the Devourer of Stars arrived, the invasion hit like a thunderbolt. Chaos forces poured onto the surface, and shockingly, nearly half of the PDF defected to the ruinous powers, swelling Angron's army further. Loyalist defenders were routed from Armageddon Prime, retreating to fortify along the natural barriers of the rivers Styx and Charon. The battles that followed were a symphony of slaughter. Mutant cohorts like Jacob's Kin and the Children of Garnasia clashing with Imperial lines, demon hosts summoning horrors from the warp, and traitor regiments turning their guns on their brothers. Angron himself led the charge, his demonic form a whirlwind of rage, summoning endless demons to bolster his forces. The World Eaters reveled in the carnage, their chain axes drinking deep of Imperial blood as they advanced toward key hives like Infernus and Hellsreach. The Imperium's response was swift but desperate. Astropathic distress calls pierced the warp storms, reaching the nearby Space Wolves chapter. Led by the legendary Great Wolf Logan Grimnar, the Wolves descended upon Armageddon, like avenging storms. Their fleet reinforced the crumbling lines, launching thunderous counteroffensives that stemmed the chaos tide. But Grimnar knew this was no ordinary invasion. Facing a Daemon Primarch and his demonic legions required specialists. He summoned the Grey Knights, the secretive Ordo Malleus's chamber militant, demon hunters forged to combat the warp's foulest abominations. A strike force from the Third Brotherhood, 109 warriors strong, teleported directly into the fray under Brother Captain Taramar Aurelian. The key battles raged along the rivers where Imperial forces made their stand. Angron's hordes smashed against fortified positions, the air thick with bolter fire, las cannon blasts, and the roars of berserkers. Heroes emerged in the blood-soaked chaos. Logan Grimnar coordinated the defense with unyielding ferocity, his axe Morkai cleaving through traitors. Among the Grey Knights, a young Pyrrhikine named Hyperion stood out. In the climactic confrontation, as Angron bore down on the defenders, Hyperion shattered the Daemon Primarch's infamous Black Blade with a surge of psychic might, earning the title Bladebreaker. Brother Captain Aurelian delivered the final blow, banishing Angron back to the warp for over a century, but at the cost of his own life. The Space Wolves' relentless assaults routed the remaining Chaos forces, driving the World Eaters back to the Devourer of Stars, which fled into the void. Victory was claimed, but at a horrific price. Out of 109 Grey Knights, only 13 survived, their silver armor scarred by the touch of chaos. But the war's end was just the beginning of a greater tragedy. The Imperium's victory came with a shadow. The knowledge of chaos could not be allowed to spread. The Inquisition, under Inquisitor Lord Gesme Kisneros, declared the Armageddon containment. What followed were the months of shame, a purge so ruthless it sparked open conflict. Surviving civilians, billions who had fought loyally, were herded into work camps across the galaxy. Under the guise of vaccinations, they were sterilized to prevent any taint from passing on. The heroic Armageddon Steel Legion, rounded up for processing, facing enslavement or worse. Entire worlds that sent reinforcements were exterminated via virus bombs, their populations deemed contaminated by mere association. Imperial Navy ships involved in the battle were purged, their crews executed to silence whispers of demons. Logan Grimnar was furious. He saw this as a betrayal of the Imperium's soul, saving a world only to doom its people for knowing too much. What is the wisdom, he demanded, of saving a planet if its inhabitants must be processed for the sin of knowing about chaos? Grimnar defied the Inquisition, using his fleet to escort survivor transports to safety, engaging inquisitorial vessels in space battles that claimed Grey Knight's ships like the glaive of Janus. The conflict escalated to the siege of Fenris, the Space Wolves' homeworld. In a daring boarding action, Grimnar personally decapitated Kisnaros, ending the standoff. Though peace was brokered by the ancient dreadnought Bjorn the Fell-Handed, the rift between the Space Wolves and Inquisition lingers to this day. The First War for Armageddon raises profound moral dilemmas. In the grim darkness of the far future, is it right to sacrifice millions of innocents to protect billions from corruption? The Inquisition's cold pragmatism, better to kill millions on suspicion than risk billions, clashes with the honor of warriors like Grimnar, who fight for humanity, not just its survival. This erased chapter reminds us, in Warhammer 40k, victory often tastes of ashes. The Ork Waaaghs that followed were dubbed the Second and Third, burying Angron's invasion in secrecy. But now, you've glimpsed the truth.